talk to me about bringing this together because obviously the names, as a kid of the 70s and 80s, up and down the radio dial, I'm hitting each and every single one of these names, yours included, at one point in time. So, how does this all come together for you?
Well, they're friends. I like to go out with people whose music I like and that I like the people. And John Waite and I have been friends for years. And Paul Young, I met on a couple of tours ago, and he's a great guy too. And Wang Chung, looking forward to seeing them. And I was fans of all of these guys in the 80s. I used to have them on my, what was it? What was the thing you did before iPhones? It was God, I've forgotten. The tape machine. What was it called? A little tiny tape machine. Oh, I forget what it was called, but it was great, and it was when you could have portable music. And I listened to all. I listened to Wang
Sony
Chung and
Walkman, you're talking about.
Walkman. There you go. That's what it's called. I used to run, so it was my run man.
As you put together your set list, I mean, obviously, and I was watching a couple of the shows that have already happened this year, this week. You've got to put together some fan favorites, but I want to give you an opportunity as well to talk about some of the newer stuff. I went through some of the songs. I was struck, Rick, because you've got explicit lyrics on some of them, and I know in the writing, but that's kind of a change, is it not?
No, my first album, Working Class Dog, actually snuck the S word through. Nobody caught it and was played on the radio and everything. So, I use it I don't just throw it out there. I know a lot of guys, F this, F that, but I use it when I feel like it's going to help the power of the lyric because, cussing can be very powerful if it's not overused. And I use it now and then when for frustration or for whatever.
I got to ask you, 1983, Affair of the Heart, Living in Oz, and I know going back, I've got an uncle who's had a band in Ohio and around the country since I was a kid. He had gotten this brand new Yamaha stereo. He set it up and he played Affair of the Heart for me. And I was, as a 10-year-old at that time, just blown away by the technology, the sound, the synth, the driving rock, the drums, the pounding. How did you capture? Do you look back on that song? And I know you were up for a Grammy, were you not? And got beat out by Beat It?
Yeah, yeah. That's really funny you should mention that because I just went to Sound City where I recorded all that stuff. And did you see the Dave Grohl documentary on Sound City? It's a great
Oh, it's
documentary.
unbelievable.
Yeah. And so Dave did a documentary on the studio where we all recorded, and I was there yesterday actually, and they had multi-tracks. They had the multi-tracks of Affair of the Heart and the song Living in Oz. And we were pulling it up. You could pull up the drums, you could pull up my vocal, you could pull up the guitars. And I was amazed at how heavy and how big it sounded back then. Uh, it was a great sounding record. And it was partly the studio and partly the songs and partly the players were really tight. I haven't recorded with a whole band since then. I now, because of Pro Tools, I can go in and just do everything, play everything myself kind of thing. So the idea of getting a band together was like, well, it's gonna be much easier if I just do this. And but then it was the band, it was a great band, and they're all real professional, great players. And
Were those studio guys or was that your band?
there was some of them were my band, but a lot of them were studio guys. Some were studio guys that became my band.
Yeah.
And um, became band members. But it's very powerful stuff. And I was funny you should bring that up because hearing it's isolated, hearing the drums isolated, hearing the guitars isolated, I was really taken aback at
Yeah.
um, how big it sounded and how well it was recorded and how the fidelity and the power of it all.
Well, sitting here, Rick, in 2025 and listening to it again, and I mean, this is cliche, it stands the test of time. And
Mhm.
I just wonder if one of the questions I wrote down, I was curious, do you hear your influence in music today? Have you been sampled? Did a song like Human Touch ever get sampled?
Yeah, there's been samples of stuff. I haven't really kept track of them, but I mean, I don't know. I do meet, young musicians that said that say, they were influenced by what I did. And I know there's some older, we all listened to each other in the 80s. I know there's other players that kind of my age that were following me too. But it wasn't cool back then to say it because I'd come off General Hospital, and I remember that we were playing in Top of the Pops in London, and there was this metal band on there. And by the way, I never wore spandex. Okay, and there was this metal band on there, hair metal band, and the guitar player came up to me and said, "Dude, I love Affair of the Heart. What a great song!" And the singer grabbed him and pulled him away. And said, "Don't talk to him."
No
So
kidding.
there was a kind of, oh, Rick Springfield, is he real, or is he like just this acting geek that, someone put in the studio and, had got some songs for? So that was, I kind of had to deal with that for a long time. Now, I'm 75, so I kind of go, whatever, dude. Think what you want, I don't care.
Yeah, but there was kind of a competition thing. But I mean, I think back to guys like Jack Wagner, who had a very small moment in time, but my God, your career is to be marked. Talk a little bit about one thing that struck me. I watched a show from down at Disney World, and you feature a song during your set which you wrote. You said it's cathartic for you. Talks about your bouts with depression. Why was that? How tough was that to write? Why is it so important to share?
It's my little PSA, I guess. I mean, I wrote my own autobiography and about 10 years ago, and oh, longer than that, I think. Anyway, but a lot of, and I mentioned the depression. I actually called it a third person, Mr. D, because I felt like it was someone really messing with me. It wasn't me, but it was someone in here that was. And a lot of people picked up on that. I guess a lot of, having a celebrity talk about, that they have the same battles, and a lot of people got a lot of courage to talk about their own depression from that. And I wrote this song. It wasn't hard to write. It was just necessary. And so I still do it and talk about, I do a little, talk about how I've had to deal with it since I was a teenager, and it still kind of rides on my shoulder. And I have to watch it, and you can still have a good life even though, you have stuff like that. And we all have mental health issues. I'm not by any stretch of imagination going, hey, I'm really different. I have mental health issues. Everybody has a
Right.
mental health issue. Everybody has a problem. Anyone you meet, there's a battle going on inside them that you know nothing about. Everybody. And so, I understand that, and my way to bridge that gap is to talk about my issues, and they're truthful, and not. I don't do it for sympathy or for whatever. I do it because I feel like it can help people, and it helps me too.
Well, you never know. Just that one ear you might grab that night, and it may change their life. Um, what do you see when you look out in the crowd these days?
I see happiness, which is amazing. My job is, I think I heard Tom Petty say this, that his job is to give people, a release from the crap that they think about 24/7, go to a concert and suddenly it's all gone. And it's all gone for me too once I get up on stage. I have my own, monkeys in my head. So that I see that out there, and it's a very powerful feeling that you see someone beaming, that if you you see people on the road, you see people in cars, and you go, well, that guy's not even, he looks like he's totally depressed. He's not smiling. But out there, everyone is having a great time. Hopefully, everyone's having a great time, and I pick up on that, and that's where I get my energy to play too from that.
As far as the ages, you see all over the spectrum.
Yeah, yeah. People bring their, parents brought their kids. Kids are now bringing their kids. So, and then there's the old guard that we call hardcores, that have been there from the beginning, which
Yeah.
is amazing to me.
You, I'm interested your view of songs like "Affair of the Heart" popping up on a rock stream, but then "Don't Talk to Strangers" coming up on yacht rock. I mean, it's kind of
I'm in yacht rock. Oh my
it covers
God.
the gamut, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, I guess so. I mean, now they're splitting everything up, you know. I mean, I have uh I look at sometimes I'll look at an album on like iTunes or whatever, and they talk about it and they say, you know, this is a hard rock album, and you know has so, and they would never have assumed that I would have anything called a hard rock album back in the 80s. So I just write what I love. I mean, I've just written something now that's pretty heavy, and that's what I'm a guitar player, and I love that kind of music. So I just write what I love. And, you know, I'm not trying to write singles necessarily, though. If we all hope that there's something that'll catch. I mean, I heard even Ringo was saying, yeah, well, we always hope for one more, you know. So we're never satisfied, basically.
Sammy Hagar and you not only share a song, obviously going back to 1978's "I've Done Everything for You," which you then sung in the 80s, but you guys also have a line of rum.
Yeah, yeah. Sammy and I have a beach bar rum together, and it's amazing. And my favorite is Cola Spice. And if you want a great drink, if I may do a little ad here, it's Cola Spice out of the freezer, straight. It's Bacardi and Coke on steroids. It's amazing.
How did the friendship develop?
Well, from you know, he wrote "I've Done Everything for You." It's the only song, only one of the songs I had hits I had that I didn't write, and it was brought to me, and I said, "Oh, okay, I'll do it," because it was a big producer, a big '80s producer had brought it to me, and he picked Jesse's Girl out of my demos and said, "I want to bring in another song," and so I did it, and it became a hit, and I think you know it was the biggest hit at the time Sammy had had, and and so we became, you know, friends there. He helped me with lights and sound to get on the road, and he was very helpful. And we just stayed in touch all through the years. And I remember when I was backstage somewhere, and he's walking by when he was in Van Halen. He's walking by to the stage with him. He says, "Hey, Rick, you need another hit song?" I said, "I'm fine, man. Thanks." But we've had this kind of, you know, uh, funny relationship. Well, and then during COVID, he called me up and said, "I hear you want to get in the alcohol business. I'd rather have you as a partner than a competitor. So would you want to do this?" And it was seemed natural. You know, we both had the music thing in common. We both, you know, love good booze, and it was fun. We've done a couple of shows together and promotions and stuff for it, and it's I think it's a lot of fun to do that. And you know, I've always wanted to. I mean, anyone who's got a name wants to put it on alcohol, but it's been a lot of a great journey. I've enjoyed it a lot.
I know we're coming up on our time. You've talked about Elvis, the influence there, starstruck moments for you over the years. Who have you really kind of drawn in on from a musical standpoint? And did you ever meet one of your idols?
Yeah, I have actually. I always be careful with meeting your idols because I don't rush to meet them, you know. But I did meet Elvis, and he was a great guy. Paul McCartney, the Beatles, of course, were you know the major influence. And I met Paul a couple of times, and I met Ringo, and they're all good people, you know. I've heard horror stories of people meeting other people and just being devastated that they were jerks to them, and I don't understand that. Why would somebody do that? That must have incredible lack of self-worth to hurt somebody like that. Who I had a keyboard player friend who was a big fan of a very famous, I won't mention him, very famous keyboard player, and he went up to him, met him. He said, "Oh man, I think you're so great. I just love your work." And the guy went ooh and walked away, and it was like, why? What's the point of that? You know. So I was very fortunate. I've been very fortunate in the people that I've really loved, who really inspired me, that they're cool people, you know.
That's
Certainly
awesome.
Paul's one of the coolest of them all. He's just such a great human being.
I can't let you go without asking about the phaser guns behind you.
Yeah, if aliens come here, babe. I've got all the guns to kill them all. These are all ray guns.
Are you a collector? Where did that come from?
Yeah, I love sci-fi. I especially love 50s sci-fi. And there's a company called Weta, a New Zealand company that made all the weapons for District 9 and for Lord of the Rings. And there's one guy called Greg Broadmoor who I see, I email with occasionally that and made limited editions of these guns. And here, check, don't go away. Check this one out. This is a master. This is a masterpiece,
My goodness.
right?
And
And so
that baby's authentic.
yeah, yeah, it's pretty wild. He's got a great imagination, and he takes them from from versions of the 50s guns. These are all kind of recognizable from certain guns in the 50s, from Dan Dare and
Yeah,
all those.
yeah.
But I love sci-fi, and it was um, I have a lot of sci-fi stuff. This is almost a steampunk studio, really, is what it is.
It's fantastic, and I couldn't let you go without asking about it. Rick, you sound great, you look great, and from a fan standpoint, I just got to say thank you because your music, and I think you understand how music can bring people together, and it's something that I've been able to share with family members. That moment I talked about listening to Affair in the Heart back in the '80s, it created bonds that have not gone away. We still chat about things like that.
Yeah, music's very powerful, and I think everybody really understands that. There's nothing like it. It touches part of your brain nothing else touches, and stays there. It's the only real time travel available is a song.
It's fantastic. June 29th, Toledo Zoo Amphitheater. This is going to be a great show, and we appreciate all the memories that you're bringing to Toledo.
Thank you. We will take you back.
Thanks, Rick. Great job. Appreciate it. It's a pleasure.
Thanks a lot. All the
Peace.
best.